That's a new tornado warning, and now we're talking about.
I'll go ahead and get the details on that here in a second. But again, this is for a good chunk of Charleston County here. So if you live in these areas that I'm about to call out, certainly be in your safe place now. This will include Folly, James Island, we mentioned this cell earlier, West Ashley as well. So a good chunk of the Charleston Metro is currently under this tornado warning. I'm going to switch us back over to our radar site closer to home. I think there's a couple of areas that they're concerned with. Number one, our area of rotation that I pointed out earlier. This is offshore of Folly right now, but this will be pushing onshore and approaching the west end of Folly, so like the Folly Beach County Park area. Additionally, there could be a little notch here that we're kind of keeping an eye on as well. This is right over the Citadel Mall area, and actually I'm reading from the National Weather Service right now that they are indeed watching these two areas, and that's why they issued this as well. In fact, he said one moving into North Charleston, which is this first circle right here, and then a second moving on the south end of Folly. So these two areas in particular we're watching really closely. This is right over 526-17 Citadel Mall area, Costco, for example. And then this new area of concern that is offshore of Folly. So currently, nothing on Folly, but this will be approaching several locations on the west end of Folly. So we're talking Folly Beach County Park.
Let me read the statement just to get people clarified, give you a break too. National Weather Service Charleston issued a tornado warning for portions of Berkeley County, Charleston County, Dorchester County. 7:04, severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located near Charlestown Landing, moving north at 35 miles an hour. This is a radar indicated rotation. Don't forget, these can cause flying debris, and that's very, very dangerous. So we encourage everybody in this warned area to go into your safe place right now. We've been talking about what that safe place is. Locations include North Charleston, Somerville, Goose Creek, Hanahan, West Ashley, the 26 I-526 interchange, downtown Charleston, Johns Island, James Island, and Ladson. All of those areas we're calling out, Jed, that's where, again, warned area. So you've got one that's just offshore. You've got the other one right here. That's the one near Charlestown Landing, and that's the one that was issued right along Highway 7. You see Sam Rittenberg Boulevard there. So we're watching two really very unusual, two little rotations. They're going to go. One's already in the warned area. One will be coming into that warned area very soon. This just issued moments ago by the National Weather Service at our Charleston office.
That's right, and I believe they have expired the one in Williamsburg County as well. They're about to expire this one. So we were talking about this one earlier for Hemingway. This looks to expire very soon. So we're going to focus in on this new tornado warning box with two areas of rotation. One that is moving very close to, again, Folly, the west end of Folly, almost down towards Sandy Point on Kiowa, if you're familiar with that area of rotation there. And additionally, another area of rotation that we will zoom in on that is just around Ashley River Road, of course, Sam Rittenberg, Old Town Road. This is likely continuing to push to the north. So that means after it gets over the Ashley, we're talking eventually portions of North Charleston as well, Azalea Drive, Dorchester Road, 526 there, Leeds Avenue. If you're very familiar with these locations, if you live in these areas, you certainly want to be in your safe place now. We do have the possibility for a tornado here, and that's why there is a tornado warning in effect here until 7:30 p.m. Rob?
Yeah, we'll continue to keep broadcasting now. This is several tornado warnings. Georgetown County, Williamsburg County. Now we move into Charleston, Berkeley, and Dorchester County. Not the entire area, only portions of those, but what we're going to do is we're going to detail those areas that are impacted or potentially could be impacted by not one but two rotations showing up on Storm Team 2 Live Viper. So this is North Charleston right here. As you see, 526 coming to the end of 526. There's Citadel Mall, so it's moved basically just close to where 26 and Highway 7 or Sam Rittenberg Boulevard getting off on that exit. So Ashley Shores over towards Ashley Harbor, Faber Place, so that's right along 526 over towards Leeds Avenue. Jed, let's zoom in on this area a little bit. Let's see if we can kind of find some neighborhoods potentially. Sandhurst, Huntington Woods, North Pine Point. If you're in these areas, chances are you are in an area of circulation or rotation showing up on Storm Team 2 Live Viper. Over towards Grove Creek Village, North Bridge, Charlestown Estates, Parkshire, also in that area, broad area of some circulation, some rotation. So this is our storm winds. towards and away. We don't have a lot going on here. It looks like it could be a broad rotation, but still something that the National Weather Service is warning on, and that's why we've got to take it very, very seriously. And these are these tropical systems that really scare the living daylights out of us, because many times they happen at night, and they also are rain wrapped, and they just can pop up just very, very quickly. This one seems a little more impressive, Jed, that I'm watching coming in from the ocean, because you do have a little bit more rotation there. So Folly Beach all the way down towards Kiowa, and you can see right here, it looks like there's a little notch there, almost like a little hook that we'll be watching, that will be moving on the coast. It's almost right there on the tip. Looks like the northern tip of Kiowa Island at this particular time, moving right in towards the Folly River, Folly Beach, and eventually could impact so many more folks in harm's way. We hope folks are watching right now.
That's right, Rob. And there's additionally another cell down to the south and east of this that also is exhibiting some decent rotation offshore right now. Let me circle that so we can kind of get a closer look at what we're dealing with. A couple areas of rotation, one on the far west end of Folly, so pretty much in between Sandy Point, Kiowa, and the Folly Beach County Park. And then additionally, we have this other area of concern. This one we're going to have to keep an eye on as it is gradually moving to the north. This could put the eastern end of Folly out towards Morris, maybe portions of James Island, downtown, and maybe Mount Pleasant in the future. We're going to watch this for you, okay, because we have multiple cells to keep an eye on out here. Again, offshore with all these thunderstorms capable of producing waterspouts, this is what we really, really focus in on, because they have the potential of moving ashore and then becoming a tornado as well. So again, our tornado warning here, this is in effect until 7:30. And the reason why it looks so big is because we have two areas of concern, kind of what we've been talking about, Rob, with one in between Sandy Point, Kiowa, Folly Beach County Park, and then additionally another broad area of rotation that looks like it's moving right over 526 Dorchester Road, getting into
right
Leeds
there.
Avenue now, Wando Gardens. That's right, Rob.
Yeah, we got to watch these two, especially the one coming off Folly. But what's interesting, Jed, I don't see, and I don't remember too many warnings where you actually had two rotations going on with the same warning, but you could issue that because you knew it was one after the other, almost like they're following each other. But that's been the case. These cells have been moving from the offshore waters back on shore. This has been the case really all day long. We have been spared most of the day, but now it looks like, unfortunately, our turn, our number has been called, and will continue to be called because we have more cells potentially for later on tonight and early tomorrow morning. Still believe we're going to get a break, but until we get the break, we've got to deal with a couple of things going on. This one on Folly Beach, it really will continue to move to the north at about 35 miles an hour. We still see some circulation there, so that's going to be moving in across landmass. Most likely, obviously, a waterspout now, transferring into the land over Soul Agree, over towards Shrimp Street. These are areas upstream that potentially could be impacted by that. And again, these are radar indicated. So when I say it is a waterspout, we're just speculating. Most likely is a waterspout indicated by radar that we'll see if it holds together once it moves over land. Many times they do kind of fall apart because of the friction reaching buildings and trees and those kinds of things and land masses, but not always. And that's why we have to watch these very, very closely. And this is just the beginning of several more of these, most likely that will be moving on shore as we head into the overnight and early tomorrow morning. Going into this afternoon, we had a big weather discussion talking about what to expect the rest of the night, and was more likely into the early morning hours that we would see a lot more activity. Not discounting what's happening now, but knowing that's more likely than what's happening now. But it's happening, so we are dealing with it. And in addition to that, very, very heavy rainfall, Johns Island, James Island, Folly Beach, there's the warned area, and it looks like is that a new flash flood warned area that may have popped up? Aerial flood advisory. Okay, so this is for the marine zones, all those rain showers and thunderstorms that are offshore. And then down to the south, even farther down to the south, we've got some heavier rains that will be moving on shore. So at the very least, we're talking tremendous rain for the next few hours or so.
That's right. So back to our tornado warned storm. Again, two areas of concern. Let's start with our area further to the south. This is just to the west of the Folly Beach County Park. This is actually going into the Kiowa River here. But with a due northerly track here, we will be getting really close to the Soul Agree boat landing. getting close to Bowen's Island as well. So if you're in those areas, you certainly need to be sheltering immediately. Now, this isn't a very strong area of rotation, but sometimes it really doesn't take much with these tropical systems. We could be looking at the potential for a waterspout right now over the Kiowa River, potentially about to move inland as a tornado for some of these areas. So let's look to the north. So like I mentioned, the boat landing, Sol agree, we have Bowen's Island over here. So likely it'll pass to your west, but all these locations near the boat landing, we have Edward Drive, we have Singleton Drive, Old Oscar Walker, we have Shrimp Street, pretty much everywhere. If you live off of Sol Agree Road, you want to be in your safe place right now with this potential waterspout, possibly becoming a tornado, moving gradually to the north here. And again, another area of rotation to the north of that, not looking quite as strong as our Folly one there. But if you live in North Charleston, we're also monitoring the situation here. But the good news is I have seen some weakening over the last few scans here, Rob. It's really our cell offshore of Folly out here, and then the one kind of in between Kiowa and Folly over the Kiowa River right now that we're watching really closely here.
Yeah, I did some checking on that flood advisory. Yes, we do have a flood advisory in effect. You can see the area shaded in green, so it does go offshore, but also goes onshore, and it's mainly because of what we're looking at here. Quick 1 to 2 inches of rain in some cases has already fallen. Clearly, you can see that rainfall totals over the past 3 hours. Earlier today, Jed, we were really watching this train effect as we saw all those thunderstorms moving almost in the same location. And you can see here, so now you're talking about 2 to 4 inches of rain in the yellow. That's our estimate on Storm Team 2 Live Viper. Just beginning to see some of the heavier rain move in from the offshore water down in the flash flood warned area, or our tornado warned area and flood advisory warned area that's going on to the south. So most areas, as you look at the rainfall totals, it's been generally light. I know we had one report from Isle of Palms, 1.37 inches. Most areas have been less than an inch or so, about a half an inch, but there have been some pockets of the heavier rains. Boy, this is a really big round of rain that's moving up into Georgetown County. We've got rain coming into the city from 17 over the Santee Rivers. We also have some very heavy rainfall over into Winyah Bay, and that's something we've got to be careful about because that's a flash flood warned area too there as we move to the north. And the tornado warning, again, tornado warning that is going to continue until 7:30. We'll see what happens within this warned area because it's a pretty large box encompassing James Island, Johns Island, Folly Beach, a couple other things going on south of Folly Beach. So this warning may be in existence for a little while longer just because of that reason that there's another couplet that might move into the warned area. So most likely, I don't expect this to be at least paired off on the southern side just because of that reason, Jed.
Right. I wouldn't be surprised if they do kind of shave off the northern side. Our area of concern earlier near North Charleston is looking rather broad, rather weak. So that's the good news there. But we still certainly have to watch these two cells right around Folly, including this one that I was talking about earlier. This one's still located offshore, but we have to watch this because this could clip the west end of Folly here, and potentially we're dealing with waterspout in that area right now as well. Here's the other area of circulation they're watching. This one's continuing to push to the north. This could be getting close to the Sol Agree boat landing there. So that area, if you're in that area, certainly want to move to an interior room away from all windows and try to get as many walls in between you and the outside of your house as possible. And then additionally, if you do live right on Folly, we're really watching this closely because this is a decent little area of rotation that will be approaching Folly, potentially right through Folly. And it is currently located just offshore of Folly. Let's actually map that out for us. Only about 3.4, 3.5, 3.5 miles to the south of Folly and moving generally northward. So we're watching this one closely as it could eventually end up moving ashore on Folly Beach. So if you live on Folly, stay with us on this. We're watching this really closely here. And I believe they may have just adjusted our tornado warning box. We'll see more on that in just a second. But again, if you live on Folly, we're watching this area broad rotation. When we pull up our reflectivity, This is kind of what we're looking for. We're looking for almost like a kidney bean shape to it. This is a supercell here, a tropical supercell, and this certainly has the potential to be producing a waterspout within it. It's why we see our reds close to the greens here. It's broad, but it's certainly something that could be producing a waterspout that we do need to monitor closely as it is slowly approaching Folly from the south.
All right, Jet, let's kind of go up in here and let's go into maybe some street names so we can get into neighborhoods just to give you a little idea. Very heavy rainfall continues to fall, but again, you can see East Arctic Avenue right there on Folly Road coming down over Center Street. That's where potentially this rotation could move onshore here in just a little while. East Cooper Avenue all the way to West Arctic. As you move westbound, maybe up and down the coast, we certainly could see more of this moving in towards Johns Island, James Island. You're in that warned area, no doubt about it. Very heavy rainfall, torrential rains coming out West Hudson Avenue over towards West Indian Avenue. Again, these are areas that we're calling out that are seeing a lot of heavy rain at this particular time and in that warned area. So, Jed, kind of back out just a little bit. I want to see because I think they did pare at least part of that warning down. So let's see. It looks like it's still there, the whole thing, even though you mentioned and we've mentioned that rotation was weakened just a little bit. So upstream a little bit, James Island, Johns Island, certainly potentially some of these neighborhoods on Johns Island, on James Island could be impacted. That's just offshore, hasn't moved onshore yet, but it will very, very soon, moving into a tornado warned area with addition heavy rain. And right now, looks like, yeah, there it is right there, Jed. So still circulation, still yet to move onshore at this particular time, but once it does, we'll continue to keep a close eye on that as we move into the next few minutes or so. Yeah,
we're certainly keeping a close eye on it. I'm not sure if I can get our Folly Beach camera pulled up. Maybe Chris in the back, you could pull that up for us. If not, maybe I'll pull it up on our traffic computer real quick and see if I can get that going. But again, we're watching really closely on that cell that is just off to our to the south of Folly. So we're going to keep an eye on the pier cam there because it's kind of approaching the pier cam in that general area. Let me see if I can pull up one of our cameras here and we can get a better view of this. We need our blue iris camera. Yeah, and there's the actual hurricane. Again, just to give you an update, it's a Category 4 hurricane. The winds are 130 miles an hour as it's moving north-northeast at 23. It's about 100 miles west of Tampa. And again, a landfall, that's when the center will cross over, probably going to happen in the next 2 to 3 hours or so. This is a loop, so that takes us all the way back to 3:15. So this is not a current picture, but again, if you loop it, you'll be able to see. But I know we're also looking for our Folly Beach camera. There's also a cell, Jet, I want you to take a look at. This is Folly Beach. There it is. You can clearly see the clouds offshore. And they're lowering clouds, definitely. There's also a cell, Jet, I want you to take a look at over towards St. Helena Sound. So down to the south, that the National Weather Service saying they're watching that closely. There may be a tornado warning going on for portions of Beaufort County and Colleton County. So it could be this area right here, St. Helena Sound, that we're also watching for a potential tornado warning that will come out. And this will encompass parts of Colleton County, according to the National Weather Service. They're monitoring that. We're not saying they're going to do it, but it looks like basically we do have a signature there. Again, that's south and southwest of Edisto Beach, just down the coast from Edisto Beach and Edisto Island. So will be moving north at about 25 to 30 miles an hour. So we'll wait and see. We may get a warning on this one as well. So this is going to be a very busy and already has been a very busy afternoon, continuing the busy evening and into the overnight. That's right, Rob. So I'll go back over to our Folly Beach storm. Again, this new one that is approaching Folly right now. This is getting pretty close to the pier. You saw the lowering on our Folly cam. And again, we're really watching that closely. The possibility for a waterspout that could push ashore is certainly there. The rotation is broad. I'm not looking at very strong rotation here, but it could be enough. So if you're on Folly right now, especially if you are west of Center Street, if you're west of the pier, it's a great idea to go ahead and take shelter immediately and stay in that shelter until we can give you the all clear here. Because again, we're monitoring that area, possibility of a tornado, at least some weak rotation right now, possibility of a waterspout that could move offshore. Let me show you what our reflectivity looks like. Again, we have this almost supercell-like structure here that's beginning to push ashore on Folly. So this is the area where we could be looking at a tornado. If you live on Folly, like I mentioned, maybe you're just now tuning in. You want to get as many walls between you and the outside of your house as possible. Try to stay away from the windows as well. We're watching this one really closely. Here's the latest scan, and the rotation almost looks a little bit better in this last scan. So let's go ahead and call out some locations. Again, if you live west of the pier in general, I certainly want you in your safe place. I'm going to pull up our Folly camera again so we can kind of get an idea. It's zoomed in right now. It will pull back out in a second, but to the south side of the pier, if you live west of the pier on Folly, if you live in those areas, you certainly want to stay in your safe place. Get as many walls between you and the outside of your house as possible. Rob, I really hope this camera widens back out for us so we can see that thunderstorm in the distance here. But again, we do have that potential for a tornado approaching Folly right now.
We use this camera. It's on a timer. We don't have control of it. We certainly appreciate the Tides Hotel letting us use it, but it is on a timer, so it's going to move around, and we show it every night on the news, so you get a chance to see it, but it eventually will back out just a little bit. Hey, I'm checking on some of the weather reports, Jed, and Stuart Coleman in Isle of Palms just reached back out to us. He gave us the report on the Isle of Palms of roughly 1.37 inches. He's now up to 2.98 inches of rain over in the Isle of Palms. Thank you, Stuart, for sending that information in. There it is. It's backed out just a little bit. You see the Folly Pier. Obviously, the seas are pretty angry. And again, don't see anything in the distance. And this camera, unfortunately, is not going to be able to pick up very much when it gets darker, a little bit darker. It's certainly a daytime camera for the most part, but we'll continue to keep an eye and keep you updated. So tornado warning until 7:30. That's another few minutes or so. And again, now it's kind of scanning the horizon. So let's see if we see anything. Again, the National Weather Service feels pretty confident that is most likely there is a waterspout offshore that potentially has a chance of moving back onshore as a tornado. But at this moment, we haven't had any verification yet. We wish we could see it on our live camera, but not sure that's going to take place. But because we might not be able to pan over far enough.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate situation with that camera. We're watching it really closely, though, and there's certainly a lowering down to the south of the pier. So we're watching that one, the west end of Folly, the Folly Beach County Park. If you live west of the pier in general, it's a great idea to be in your safe place right now because, again, we really can get, we can't get a great visual on it, but it certainly looks like it has the potential of producing a waterspout. So we're watching that one really closely as it's really just minutes away at this point from moving ashore on the western half of Folly. So like I said, again, this is everywhere west of Center Street, everywhere south of the pier. So West Ashley Avenue, West Hudson, West Indian, all the way down to West 7th, all the way down to the Folly Beach County Park. This is the area where we certainly can see a lowering in the distance. And I want you guys to take your safe place, to take your precautions and stay in your safe place at this time. Now, zooming out a little bit further, it really looks like that is our main area of concern at this point. I'm not really seeing anything much stronger than what is ongoing right now offshore of Folly. Maybe a little weak area of rotation still with that cell in North Charleston. Doesn't look as impressive to me as what we're seeing right now. Very close to Folly and beginning to push ashore on the western edge of the Folly Beach right now. So again, this area right here, maybe even some hail out over the river.
Very heavy rain and hail, good reflectivity. Bottom line is this is supposed to expire at 7:30, Jed, so we'll wait and see with the National Weather Service. I was just checking what we call NWS Chat, which is our direct link with the National Weather Service. They're the ones who actually initiate the warnings. Watches are put out from the Storm Prediction Center in Norman, Oklahoma, and then from a local level, the warnings are issued by the local National Weather Service office. In one case earlier today it was Wilmington. Another case has been Charleston issuing this warning as we speak. So that's an area that we'll continue to watch. Also up towards James Island. James Island, very, very heavy rainfall. These rainfall rates are probably tremendous, going on 2-3 inches per hour. If it rained that much in an hour, if it stayed in the same place for an hour, that's how much rain you would get. But these cells are moving. After that, there's a good chance we're going to get a bit of a break for a little while until later on tonight. But here is the area earlier today that we saw a lot of rain move in upper Charleston County into Georgetown County. When you look at our legend, you're talking 2 to 4 inches of rain just in these little ribbons of yellow. And then down the coast a little bit, that's where we've seen at least a half an inch and even more. As we mentioned, just got a report from the Isle of Palms. One of the weather observers out there, close to 3 inches of rain has fallen this afternoon, mainly this afternoon. Elsewhere, where you see the bluer shades, that's where the rainfall totals have been lessened quite a bit, but still rain. And we're not quite out of the woods yet. By far, we're not out of the woods because we have a lot going on well to our south and southwest. And that has to do with, of course, the Hurricane Helene. We're still under a tornado watch until 9 o'clock tonight. Have a pretty good idea that that will be extended. A new watch will be issued. And here is the center of the storm. And this is the latest imagery as of 7:29, 7:30 roughly. So you can see that as it moves north-northeast, we still think it's going to make a landfall right about in this general area. And then it's going to move into the Panhandle, out towards Tallahassee, probably east of Panama City. Then it moves into Georgia, and all indications are it's gotten so big and so strong it's going to take a while to wind down. Right now the winds are 130 miles an hour, gusts to 155. It's going to take a while to wind down. Potentially could be even a Category 2 hurricane in Georgia. Jed?
Hey, just the latest update. They have expired all tornado warnings at this point. Now, I do want to mention that we are still watching that one cell on Folly very closely, so we have to keep a close eye on this. I'll pull up our reflectivity again. But at this point, there are no longer any tornado warnings in effect for any portion of our viewing area. So shortly here, we will be able to get off the air. And you know, this latest scan of our velocity here is not looking as impressive. So that's the good news here. So we can really start to wind things down here, Rob. But of course, we'll have to monitor all of these cells as we go through the next several hours. If something else spins back up, we will be right back here on News 2.
All right, thanks a lot, Jed. I'm Storm Team 2 Chief Meteorologist Rob Fowler, along with meteorologist Jed Kristoff. We're not going anywhere, and we hope you won't either. Stay in touch with us. We'll stay in touch with you as we continue to monitor. Again, no tornado warnings right now as we speak. Flood advisory is still in effect. We have had some flash flood warnings to the north, but other than that, things are looking much, much better. Yes, a lot of heavy rain, but no tornado warnings are in effect at this time. That could change later tonight. That's why we're here. We'll keep you updated. We'll send it back to our regular programming. Thanks for joining us for this severe weather cut-in.